All right, so you're thinking about making a move to the Chicago suburbs? Well, today I'm going to 5 suburbs that you are not going to want to miss if you're thinking about making a move in 2025. I'm going to start from the first suburb west of Chicago and head all the way about as far west as you can be and hit up suburbs in between. And the last one, you are not going to want to miss because I think bar none, it is the best value of any Chicago suburbs that you can possibly find. That's right. Best value for your money, bar none. So stick around for that. So without further ado, let's get to it because I want to show you 5 suburbs that I think you should have on your radar in 2025. All right, so the first community that I'm going to be talking about of the 5 that are hot right now and that you might want to consider is Oak Park. Now, I'm not putting these in any particular order. Oak Park does happen to be the first suburb directly west of Chicago. So if you're on the Austin border, Chicago is literally right next to you. But if we're talking about downtown, Chicago is about 10 miles west of the loop, all right? So that is where Oak Park is. And in terms of its makeup, Oak Park has a population of about 53,000 people. And of all the communities that I'm going to talk about today, it is probably one of the more diverse communities and a big reason why people choose it. It's about 61% white, about 19% African American. It's about 8.5% Hispanic, and a little over 5% Asian. So it is one of the more diverse communities. Also, one of the things about Oak Park I mentioned, it is the first suburb west of Chicago. It is known for amazing architecture, Frank Lloyd Wright, really old 100-year-old homes, a lot of different historic districts that you need to pay attention to if you're thinking about moving there. It has its own nuances, but the thing is if you're driving through here, you don't know this area, you feel like you are in the city. So if that's what you're looking for, that is the vibe that Oak Park has. They have all these different micro business areas and stuff like that, where a lot of the communities I'm going to talk about in this video have a downtown hub. Most of them have a downtown hub. And then sort of branching out from there, it becomes very residential, where Oak Park is basically like you are living in the city, lots of hustle and bustle. In terms of transportation-wise, you have everything. 10 miles west, you can get downtown really easy driving on I-290, which is one of the major expressways. So there's a metro line that gets you downtown in about 16 or 20 minutes, right? There's only one stop between Union Station and Chicago, or Oak Park, sorry. So that'll get you downtown really fast. We also have a green line and a blue line. So another big reason that people choose Oak Park is the transportation options. You just have tons of transportation options. One of the reasons that I have all of these five communities, it's a mix of location, commute, education. So speaking of that education, right now we're talking about the school system in Oak Park, are highly rated school systems. And once again, I go into ratings, they only tell you so much. I really think you want to dig a little deeper. As an example, there's one school in particular in the grade school system, Lincoln Elementary School in District 97, it's the only school that has a Spanish immersion program. So if that's something that's important to you, you might want to look for a house in that area specifically. Right now, the high school, these ratings fluctuate. Oak Park Air Force High School, as you'll see here, grade schools rated a 10 out of 10. So to recap, you have Oak Park, you have also the restaurant scene. As I mentioned, you have you have activities. The Park District has over like 3,000 events. It just has a vibrancy to it that some of the other communities don't have. A lot of activities, a lot of things going on. You got great restaurants like Mulata, Kettle Strings, hole-in-the-wall ice cream, just a lot of cool places. And that's just scratching the surface of the options that you have in Oak Park. And once again, almost anywhere you live, you can be about a 5-6 minute walk from some sort of coffee shop or some sort of restaurant. In terms of housing there, house prices, that's one thing. It's a very competitive market. Lots of people don't move. Right now, you have about a median sales price of about $644,000 in 2025 right now, and that is a 19% increase year over year. So you have a very hot market in Oak Park right now. But it is a community that a lot of people choose based on its location, its diversity, its vibrancy, and its proximity to the city. So Oak Park is one of those communities that you might want to check out if you're thinking about making a move to the western suburbs or any suburb in Chicago. And the next one on this list is one of those places that is always ranked as one of the best places to live, not just Illinois, but the entire United States of America. And I'm going to talk about that city next. Before I jump into the next town, Hinsdale, I just want to let you know how much I appreciate how difficult this can be. If you're searching from afar, another state, or even within Illinois and you're looking for best places to live, starting to do your research, I went on niche.com to get my own feeling for like, hey, what are the best places to live, right? I know where I live and everything. I know where I sell a lot of, but I just wanted to get another perspective. And when I did that, the 3 of the top 5 places that they say the best places to live in Chicago were in Indiana. So think about how confusing that can be. So I appreciate how difficult this can be, and that's one of the reasons why I do these videos. So let's go into Hinsdale. Hinsdale is about 20 miles west of Chicago, and it is also on the train line. It's on the Metro line, and you're looking at about a 34 to 44 minute train ride to get downtown. Now, Hinsdale is known as one of the best places to live in the entire United States. So look at this article here that talks about Hinsdale is not just one of the top places to live in Illinois, but it's one of the top 50 places to live in the entire United States, one of only 3 Illinois towns. And another one's going to be coming up next. So, but that's one reason I added Hinsdale. Now, Hinsdale has this very quaint downtown. It's very historic downtown, lots of historic buildings. The core of Hinsdale is old, very old historic homes. Now, if you're looking to move to Hinsdale, you want to know about the schools in Hinsdale? Almost all 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. One of the reasons I think it makes that list, it's got lush green streets. It's just a beautiful place. Now, there's a price tag with that. The median sales price right now for a home, single family home in Hinsdale is $1.46 million, which is up about only 1% appreciation from last year. But that is a sticker shock for a lot of people. And if you can't afford that, I totally understand. Not a lot of my clients can necessarily afford that, but you're looking at Hinsdale as the most expensive community here. And it's got a great downtown. Like I said, you have like restaurants like the Nabuki and the Fuller House. Both have these really beautiful outdoor patios. Like I said, just massive houses. District 86, the high school. The thing is, the high school, 10 out of 10, one of the more highly rated high schools, although almost all of these that I have today are actually 10 out of 10. But the one thing is, if you don't want that $1.4 million sticker price, there are a lot of other communities that feed into District 86. So give me a call about that. We can talk about maybe there's communities where you can get that, the great school ratings, but not have the sticker shock, which is, once again, I told you the last one I'm going to be showing, the last community I'm going to be talking about here, you're going to want to stick around for that because I still think it's the best value around. But so getting back to Hinsdale, you have a lot of boutique shops, but it's really only that downtown area. And one thing I did when I was going through Hinsdale, which is awesome about these videos, take a look at this video right here, because I met somebody there who told me about what some people don't like about Hinsdale. And if there's anyone who's going to know, it's this person. So take a look and watch this video right now. So it's a way for people like who are looking into the communities and stuff, then they find me online, right? You know what I mean? And so my real question is, if you're willing to answer it and put it on, I mean, you can tell me afterwards, but one of the things I do is like a lot of pros and cons, and the truth is there's not a lot of, it's hard to find some cons in these towns, right? So if you were going to tell me a real con, like from the locals, a real con of living here, because I mean, you have expensive, it's beautiful, you know what I'm saying, beautiful houses, it's hard to, what would you say, Alex?
I'll tell you what, people get bored. There's not like it's got a cool BD, like a cool sister to go, but there's a good thing. There's not a bunch of crowd around here. A bunch of gossip.
Okay. All right. Come on, no gossip in a smaller town.
I'll tell you what, people get upset about looking for a parking space. We go with that. They drive around for minutes and
yeah. Parking space, and it gets boring, right?
Yeah. Boring is not bad for everyone.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Some people it is. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to find your community, right? You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you one last question about water. You got water in your basements around here? Because I know where I grew up, we got a lot of water problems. And I know farther west you don't have as much, but I think down in these areas you do, right? I see that look on your...
Probably be like a public works question.
Yeah, okay, all right. So yeah, you probably would, yes. Yeah, okay, you're right.
We're on the side Chicago.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is the furthest I go.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Corey. Nice to meet you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome, enjoy.
So you see what I'm talking about? The police officer who I met on the street told me that the things that people in Hinsdale, you know, they think it gets a little boring and it's hard to park in the downtown area, which is true when I went to shoot some of the B-roll for this. So Hinsdale is up there on the list of places that you might want to consider, especially if you have that higher price point, because there is just some amazingly beautiful homes. It's a very idyllic community. So Hinsdale should be on your list of places that you may consider moving to. All right, so if you're watching these videos, you're probably thinking about making a move. And I love talking to you about the communities, telling you a little bit about where they are, commute, sort of the vibe you get. But my job as a realtor is to look out for your financial interest in the purchase of your home. I want to make that clear, right? So if you're looking for a realtor, you're probably here because you're looking to buy a house, and you want a realtor who is always going to be looking out for your best interest. And when I say that, I mean, I would rather you not buy a house than you buy the wrong house. So many of my clients, what they say is they're like, he wouldn't let me buy this house. He kept telling me, you can't buy this house, you can't buy that house, because I don't care about my commission. I care about you and your family finding the right home, no matter how long that takes you. I worked with some clients last year who reached out, and they were like, they interviewed different agents, and I asked them after they bought a house, I said, well, why did you end up working with me? And they said, all the other agents were like, we're going to find you a home fast, this and that. And then you told us, I'm going to help you find the right home. And the right home is specific to you. And that's why you want to give me a call, because I'm going to listen to your needs. I'm going to listen to your time frame, your goals. And you know what? Maybe you shouldn't buy a house. If you're thinking about leaving here in 2 years, you probably shouldn't buy a house. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to listen to you. I'm always going to talk to you about water issues in the basement. I'm going to talk to you about things that you might not think about that are not good for resale. Maybe you're coming from a different part of the country, and that style of home is very common there. I'm always going to let you know why you shouldn't buy a house more than why you should buy a house. And if that's the type of agent that you want to work with, give me a call. Call me. I'll answer. If I don't answer, I'll give you a call back. You can text me too. But let's get that ball rolling so I learn about what is important to you, because I always go back to that. As you're starting to look in a competitive market, you start losing sight of like why you are really buying this home. So that's the kind of agent you want. Someone who is going to really look out for your interest. And I'm not just saying like, what is that? That's like, oh, look out for your interest. I'm talking about, I'll go to a house after it rains and make sure there's no water in the basement. Talk to the seller's agent and say, hey, I need to check the basement, make sure there's no water, because I don't trust them, right? And if there is, back out. Will I lose a deal? Maybe you don't buy that house? Absolutely, I don't care. I want you to be protected, and I want to make sure you're buying the right house. All right, so next on the list of the communities that you might want to take a look at is Elmhurst. I'm going to tell you something. Elmhurst has changed a lot since my dad grew up there 77 years ago, when it was basically farmland. The stories he tells me are crazy, especially to see what has happened in downtown Elmhurst, even since I was younger. Even in the last like 15 years, it's just the downtown area has exploded. So Elmhurst is about 16 miles west of the city, and like every other community here, you can get downtown with a metro. Now, the cool thing is you have a bunch of express trains. Now, the people that I know that live in Elmhurst, that's one of the reasons they love it. So you can be downtown in about 26 minutes on an express train. And if you don't catch one, you're talking about a 39-minute trip. But that's one of the things that people really like about Elmhurst. Now, a little bit more about Elmhurst. So the population of Elmhurst is about 45,000 people. In terms of diversity, it is almost all Caucasian. It's like 77% white, 10% Hispanic, little over 6% Asian, and fewer than 2% African American. So the demographics there are a little different than a place like Oak Park, but Elmhurst is known for good schools. Now, one thing that also, not just good schools, right? So you have York Community High School, which, as you can see here, is rated 10 out of 10, as I think almost every school is of the 5 communities that I'm talking about. But one thing that people like about Elmhurst, now they just did a big remodeling. They built an entire new school, so they put a bunch of money in the arts and a lot of different building facility upgrades over the last few years. It also only has one school district, which means more than you might think, right? That's like one sort of point of contact as your student goes along, one district that has some consistency, right? The holidays are the same. So that is something in Elmhurst that is a little bit unique, unlike the last community that I'm talking about, which I still think is the best value that you want to stick around for. But their grade school system is totally whacked and a little bit crazy to navigate. But Elmhurst, what else? So the median price right now for a single family home in Elmhurst is about $642,000. and you've had a 9% appreciation year over year. Now, the one thing about Elmhurst that's interesting is that you have a lot of teardowns. Now, Elmhurst has, unlike Hinsdale, you don't have a lot of cheap sort of lower end homes in Hinsdale. You can still find homes to $400,000 to $500,000 in Elmhurst, all the way upwards of $2+ million. You have a lot of teardowns, which you don't have in a lot of these other communities. Oak Park has historic district restrictions. Hinsdale also has historic district restrictions. But Elmhurst, there's been a ton of new builds. So if that's something you're looking for, you can maybe find a new build, unlike in some of the other communities around here. You have a great downtown area. And like I said, unlike some of the other communities, you also have an area called Spring Road that's right off the Prairie Path. So Spring Road is right off of the Prairie Path, which is a gem in Elmhurst as well. The Prairie Path is like a 55-mile rail path that you can take. You can walk, you can bike. But off of there, you have another little business district where you have like Roberto's Restaurant, which is an awesome staple in that community. In downtown Elmhurst, you have the Elmhurst Brewing Company, which is a newer brewery down there. So Elmhurst just has a lot of restaurants. So one of the reasons people choose Elmhurst is you have really good school district, once again, close to downtown, and you have a very idyllic setting, a great downtown, which it can be a little bit hard to park like all of these downtowns, but you can get downtown quick. So Elmhurst is another place that you might want to have on your radar if you're looking in the suburbs, any suburb of Chicago. Elmhurst should be on your list. All right, so if you've been searching best places to live in Chicago suburbs, I almost guarantee you Naperville is going to come up because it consistently comes up. It's not only one of the best suburbs in Chicago, but one of the best places to live in Illinois. Remember I said there was 3 in the top 50? Well, this is one of those 3, just like Hinsdale was on there. So what about Naperville? Okay, so I started with Oak Park, which is the first suburb west of Chicago. Naperville is about the farthest west that you can be from Chicago. You're talking about 34 miles or so west of the city of Chicago. So if you are looking to drive downtown, I'm telling you, when we get traffic, we get winters, it can be absolutely brutal. You're thinking about 35 miles with no traffic is going to take you 35 or 40 minutes. So you can get downtown faster than some people think, but at rush hour, I'm telling you, you're going to be like maybe an hour and a half, sometimes an hour and 45 minutes sitting in traffic. But they do have a metro system with an express line. So the Metro Express line will take you about 40 minutes. If you miss that express or your schedule is different, it's going to take you almost an hour to get downtown just on the train. So a little bit more about Naperville. It is massive. It is over 150,000 people. Geographically, it's huge. It can take you maybe 30 minutes from South Naperville, 95th, south of that 103rd, to get to the downtown area. It is a huge place. So with that being said, you have a ton of school options. You have 2 school districts, but like 5 different high schools. Once again, almost all of them, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Look at here, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, right? So the school district, it's known for that. Now, Naperville is gonna be the vibe where, and I talked about Hinsdale, you have the historic area, very old houses. You have Elmhurst is very similar in that respect. Oak Park, even older, right? Older housing stock. Naperville is where you get the traditional suburban cul-de-sac feel. Look at some of these neighborhoods here, right? You have Tallgrass, which is a place that you can have like homes built in like the 2000s, really more than like 3,500 square feet. Then you have like places like Hobson West, where you're talking more like 2,500 to 3,000 square foot, more like 70s and 80s builds. So another thing about Naperville is you got a bunch of really busy streets. You got 59. It's basically like a lot of strip mall type feel once you get out of the downtown area. Now the downtown has some old historic homes, and it has tons of restaurants, just tons. Catch 35 is a great seafood restaurant. One of my favorite restaurants ever, Fogo de Chão, which is a Brazilian all-you-can-eat steakhouse they have in Naperville. But Naperville is definitely that newer construction type vibe, farther away from the city, so it's just not as easy to get downtown, not only for work, but if you just want to make a trip into the city, it's probably not something you're going to be doing on a regular basis, but there is so much stuff. You have a massive park district. I mean, it's a huge place, right? You have a massive park district. There's just tons of events. I was there this weekend. There was this big festival, carnival rides and stuff like that. So Naperville should be on your radar if you are willing to maybe go farther west, have a different type of a vibe to it, right? Than some of the other cities, some of the other communities that are more of those traditional old, what I'm used to, 100-year-old areas. They're not subdivisions, they're neighborhoods more than they are like subdivisions and stuff like that. So that's a bit of a rundown about Naperville, and you don't want to miss in Naperville is the Riverwalk. Look here, it is beautiful. It is one of those things when I was in high school, we used to drive the 30 miles just to walk on the Riverwalk, have something to do at night, but it's a really cool feature. You could even canoe or kayak down it if you so choose. I saw people doing that when I was down there. So the Riverwalk is an anchor. You have some beautiful parks there. You have this big, awesome tower there, the famous tower. So, Naperville's got a lot going on for it. Once again, great schools. So in terms of price point, you probably want to know, right? I forgot about that almost. So the median price point right now is about $700,000, which is up about appreciation of about 5% over last year. So not as high as a place like Oak Park, which had 19% appreciation. And part of that is just due to the lack of inventory. The thing is, when you have a place with 150 plus thousand people, massive geographically like Naperville, you are going to have more opportunities to buy a home. Maybe not in your specific subdivision, but you are going to have more opportunities than you would in a place like Hinsdale that's much smaller, even Elmhurst and Oak Park. So that's a bit about Naperville. And now I'm on to the last community that I want to talk about and what I think is the best value for your money. Stick with me for that. All right, so I told you to stick around for what I think is the best value in the Chicago suburbs, and that to me is Brookfield, Illinois. Now, there's some things about Brookfield. You are not going to find massive houses like you are in Hinsdale. So if you need a massive house and you need 5,000, 4,000 square feet, unfortunately, Brookfield, you are not going to be able to find that. But what I love about Brookfield, like I said, I think it's the best value for the money. And what I mean by that is, before I get into that, what about Brookfield? Where is it? Demographics, all that kind of stuff. Well, Brookfield, about 13 miles west of the city of Chicago. It's not quite as easy to drive downtown because of you have a number of trains, but you do have a train line, and you're looking at about 29 to 33 minutes on the Metro to get downtown. So that's the thing. Commute-wise, you can get downtown just like you can in these other communities. It has a population of about 19,000 people. You're talking about 70% or so white, 20% Hispanic, and about 5% African American. So that's the makeup of the community. Now, here's the deal. The houses I mentioned to you, right now, you have a median price of $367,000. Did you hear me right? A median price of $367,000. All the other communities I've talked about are $600,000 and up. And the two high schools that service Brookfield are both 10 out of 10. Lyons Township High School and Riverside Brookfield High School are both 10 out of 10. So if you want great schools, still in 10 out of 10, still be able to get into the city in 30, 35 minutes, and an entry point that's not going to break your bank or make you work until you're 90, Brookfield might be the community for you. Now, it is mostly like post-World War II construction homes. I joke that I think Brookfield, Riverside, they share a high school, has spatially challenged homes. I think some of their layouts are very small and tight. Another thing you have to worry about in this community is water in basements. You have to worry about that in Oak Park. It happens in Elmhurst. Flooding, these are real issues that you have to pay attention to in these communities. But if you want bang for your buck, now, there is one really weird thing I'm going to tell you at the end here. I think Brookfield is an area that you should really consider. One of the places in Brookfield that I think is awesome is Irish Times. It's like an Irish bar. It's a staple of the community. It's been there forever. A great place to go, have a burger, get some drinks, very well known for that. So the one thing about Brookfield that I was shocked, I couldn't believe it, is they have gravel alleys, which is a pain in the butt. I've never seen a community that has gravel alleys. So I guess, the $367,000 median price point, you don't have concrete alleys or asphalt alleys, you have gravel. But I'll tell you what, I think I can live with that to get great schools at a great price point. So Brookfield is a sleeper community that I think not enough people pay attention to. And if you want to learn more about any of these communities, you want to get a handle on where you think you might want to move. And if you're thinking about making a move, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, reach out. I would love to touch base with you and talk to you about what community I think might work best for you and help you get the right house. As I said, no matter how long it takes.